Step 1. Give clear and explicit expectations. There should not be any extra warnings given. Giving clear and explicit expectations is the warning. It is unfair to students to give a consequence if we as the adult did not give clear and explicit expectations. Every classroom has our school expectations posted. Let's make sure we are following them on one accord.
We are going to spend 5 minutes on our mastery check today. Make sure that you are not only answering the 2 multiple choice questions, but also looking at the why down here that asks for you to write 2 complete sentences. I'm looking around for everyone to be on the back of their excellent sheet, which says 5.16 mastery check. We are independently working on our mastery check. If you finish early, you may read your homework or read your independent reading book. Your 5 minutes are on the clock. You may go ahead and begin now. Go ahead and put your do now to the side of your desk. Everyone should be at the top of their notes where it says head in the clouds. Go ahead and write your MLA heading at the top of your notes so I know you are ready to move on today. We will come back to your excellent sheet at the end of class. And I know you are ready to move on today. We will come back to your excellent sheet at the end of class when we use it for your mastery check.
So the questions that you need to have done are questions 1 through 4 about absolute true diary in the packet.
Everyone should be looking on the page that looks just like this at this time. On the board, please make sure that you are taking care of all of the items so that you can successfully start class today.
Page 48 through 53 in those questions.
Step 2. Positive narration. After giving clear and explicit expectations, positive narrate the expectation given. For example, Carlos has his voice at level 0 with his eyes tracking me. You will find it is much easier and effective to positive narrate table groups as opposed to individual students. For example, table group zoologist has their text open to page 2 with their voices at a level 0 tracking me. Avoid using the statement, I see Carlos has his voice at level 0 with his eyes tracking me. It's about the expectation, not the teacher. While giving positive CV points, state why the students are actually receiving the CV point. For example, Sarai is receiving a doing your best core value point because she came in while the rest of the class was talking and started her do now right away. Or Table Group Harvard is receiving a responsibility core value point because they had all of their materials out and started their do now right away. Due to where we are as a school currently, I think it's important to give positive points for all of the habits we are trying to see in our classrooms aligned to our core values and classroom expectations. In February, we will start to raise the bar a bit, and I'll explain what that looks like.
Daisy's writing her homework down in her planner, getting herself organized and ready for the day. Mariana's there. Maria's putting her MLA heading on the top of her page. Anthony's there. Looks like we are all there and ready to go. We are going to be talking today about the water cycle. We started our discussion of weather about the water cycle, but it's been a while since we've visited. Oh my gosh, please give Anthony 5 doing your best points. He is practicing just like we did in class, labeling the temperature of air so that he can clearly understand what is going on in number 2. Awesome work. Anthony G, please.
Step 3. Give a consequence for any expectation students are not doing, aligned to our school expectations and core values. During this step, you are to deduct CV points. This should only happen after you have given a clear and explicit expectation, as well as a positive narration of the expectation. Do not give warnings. Clear expectations are the warning. We must sweat the small stuff academically and behaviorally. If there is one student not meeting the expectation, give that one student a CV point deduction and continue. If there is more than one student not meeting the expectation, assess whether you actually gave a clear and explicit expectation. If you didn't, state a clear and explicit expectation with visuals throughout your lesson. If you did, it is imperative that the teachers scan and circulate the room for the unengaged learners and give them a core value point deduction. Again, only if you know you gave a clear expectation. This builds accountability, follow-through, and positive, responsible student habits. Remember, deduct core value points in close proximity to the student in a positive and respectful way. Also be sure to let them know why they received the deduction in connection to the class expectation or core value.
On the board, please make sure that you are taking care of all of the items so that you can successfully start class today. Angela's gotten all of her points. Carla's rocking it.
Step 4 is the teacher level cool down reflection sheet. Before moving to this step, try a few teacher moves. If a student is not meeting the clear and explicit expectation that was just given with a positive narration, use close proximity to get the student back on task. Another great move is cold calling the student to restate the expectation just given. If the student doesn't know the answer, ask another student to share out the expectation, then return to the original student to answer. These are effective teacher moves to keep kids engaged. If none of those teacher moves worked, the teacher then gives the student a cool down reflection sheet stating why the student received it and that there is a space for them to write any notes to the teacher. Let the student know they have a 5-minute time limit and walk away to continue your lesson. They will automatically earn a disruptive behavior refocus and a phone call home if they do not finish during the 5-minute time limit, or if the student yells at the teacher or becomes disrespectful to the teacher. If this occurs, let the student know they are given 5 more minutes or they move to step 6. The teacher collects the cool down reflection sheet by having the student raise their hand when they are done, or leave it on their desk after 5 minutes. When collecting, ensure that the student's 2 goals are aligned to their actions and core values. Throughout the rest of class, it is the student's goal to earn a yes for each of their goals. This student will need more positive narration aligned to their goals than the rest of class to keep them engaged. For example, Juan, I noticed your goals was to raise your hands before you speak. I noticed that you are working hard to do this. So far, you are on track for a yes for that goal. Keep up the great work. Also let students know in close proximity in a positive and respectful way when they are on track to earn a no on the reflection sheet. For example, Juan, I notice your goal is to follow directions the first time. So far, you are on track for a no because I don't see you tracking the speaker right away. I know you can do this. Let's turn this around and get a yes by the end of class. If a student yells or becomes disrespectful, let them know they're on step 5 and continue to narrate their goals to help prevent them from moving to step 6. If the student repeatedly does not meet the expectation throughout the rest of class, then they move to step 5. If they were already on step 5, they move to step 6. Also, make sure you have a conversation with the student before they exit during the last 3 of your class to let them know the correct step they are on.
So 4 of you are doing clear expectations back to your seats. I want you to fill these out when you're there. Okay, because I did ask for your voice.
Miss Abby even took it off.
Oh my god.
Teachers these days.
In this situation, you'll notice that the teacher quickly gave the students their reflection cool-down sheets and let them know the reason why they received them. The students then began to talk back disrespectfully, so the teacher let them know that they were moving down to step 5 and then continued on with their lesson without engaging. Step 5 is a disruptive behavior refocus and a phone call home, which should be facilitated by that student's advisor. Teacher may have student call in class to get on track if teacher can do this quickly and effectively without wasting class time. Otherwise, all teachers need to keep a clear log on Google Docs, etc. for that student's advisor to call home that night. This step occurs when student receives a no on the teacher cool-down reflection sheet at the end of class, or because the student became disrespectful to the teacher. Remember, if you have not done step 4 with fidelity, we should not be getting to step 5 or 6. Step 4 does take some patience to narrate on both ends of the spectrum while using least invasive redirects, which is close proximity, cold calls aligned to the lesson, etc. Throughout class. I would highly recommend collecting the forms throughout the day and having a conversation with the student's advisor. The advisor will be able to compile trends so that the phone calls are streamlined to parents and not overwhelming. Step 6 is the referral to dean. This step should only happen when steps 1 through 5 have been followed with fidelity and the student is creating a highly disruptive environment where learning cannot continue in the class for other students. Students should also know that they are receiving a referral to the dean. Teachers should follow the district behavior ladder, which was given in the last 2 sessions, or you can Google it online. Tier 1 behavior should always be dealt with teachers. Please see the Tier 1 behavior matrix, which was also given during our last 2 sessions, which can also be Googled online. Unless they are a repeat Tier 1 and teachers have followed levels A through C on the district behavior ladder, which was also given during the session. Step 7 is restorative conversation. This step is extremely important. These should occur during steps 4, 5, 6, and sometimes 3 if a student is having a rough time understanding why they received the consequence. If there needs to be a mediator, please schedule a time with the dean. A restorative conversation should involve both parties allotting an equal amount of time to share their perspectives. The teacher should start by using a timer and allowing the student to speak without cutting them off to hear their perspective. Then the teacher should start off with positive remarks about the student and repeat back the concerns of the student. The teacher should share the rationale behind the decision they made. Both parties should be given the opportunity to apologize and begin the healing process to mend the relationship. It may take some time to mend the relationship in more than one restorative conversation, but it doesn't mean we lower the expectation for the student. Please continue to work on the following teacher moves while using steps 1 through 7. Teacher move number 1 is ratio. We must increase the ratio of student talk and engagement and collaboration versus teacher talk in our classrooms. Teachers are facilitators of student learning. There is on average about 20 to 30% students grappling, analyzing, collaborating, creating, synthesizing in classroom. Let's get this to a minimum of 50% and push for more throughout the year. When we push a higher ratio of students doing the work and truly hold them to it, we will see higher student engagement. This is going to take us thinking deeply about the types of questions we're asking kids. Most of the time we are asking tons of lower level Bloom's and DOK type of questions and activities. Tomorrow, think about how you can continue to up the ratio of your classroom and help them to continually execute on high level projects and exercises within your classroom. I have seen a large increase of ratio over the last few weeks. Let's continue to up the ratio and continue to get our kids engaged in a positive and fun way.
I want you to turn and tell your partner and decide whether you agree or disagree with your partner. Is it extreme or is it balanced? Decide whether you agree or disagree with your partner. Go ahead and turn and talk now. They were Okay, let's bring it back together in 5, 4. Your voice is off and your eyes are up here. In 3, 2, and 1. Okay, that's what we're